thank the member for Casey. Clerk.
Report from delegation.
I call the honourable member for Leichhardt to present his report.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I present the report of the Australian parliamentary delegation to Southern Africa, Zimbabwe, South Africa and the Seychelles, and I ask leave of the House to make a short statement in connection to that report.
I ask the member for Port Adelaide if leave is granted.
Leave is granted.
Leave is granted.
Thank you very much indeed, Madam Speaker. This report outlines the main activities and observations of the parliamentary delegation from Parliament of Australia's visit to the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Republic of South Africa and the Republic of the Seychelles between the 3rd and the 16th of August 2014. The overall objective of the delegation was to enhance bilateral relations between Australia and the three countries visited, while also gaining a greater understanding of Africa, particularly Southern Africa and the Indian Ocean region. The members of the delegation, including myself, a member for Leichhardt, and with the Liberal Party and a delegation leader, the Senator Sue Lyons, Senator for Western Australia for the Australian Labor Party, and she was my very capable deputy delegation leader. We had Senator David Bushby, Senator from Tasmania for the Liberal Party, Dr Andrew Southcott, MP, member for Boothby, Liberal Party, Senator Penny Wright, Senator for South Australia of the Australian Greens, and we were accompanied by Mr Daniel Waite, who's our delegation secretary, and Daniel had come from the parliamentary library. In travelling through this areas, there were a number of issues over the course of the delegation that we saw that were actually reoccurring wherever we went. The one, of course, was the importance of stable property rights, which were absolutely critical to ensure that individuals and communities have an interest in developing sustainable models of economic activity and growth. The second one was improving the economic and social status of women and ensuring that women have real control over their sexual choices and activities is critically important. And the third reoccurring point was the potential of Africa certainly has not been fully tapped by the Australian businesses, and there are also opportunities for further cooperation in education, particularly vocational education. Madam Speaker, in Zimbabwe we visited both Harare and the city of Bulawayo. Zimbabwe enjoys significant natural and human resources, but largely politically inflicted economic difficulties continue to undermine the potential of the country and its people. Many contemporary problems within Zimbabwe appear to be a result from explicit policies aimed at addressing historic injustices, rather than improving circumstances for current-day Zimbabweans. However, these policies have had devastating economic and social effects. Despite the adverse circumstances in Zimbabwe, there are reasons for optimism. The delegation met with the Women's Caucus of the Zimbabwean Parliament, building on ties that were established by several of these women during their visit to the Australian Parliament as part of the Oxfam women's participation in politics and decision-making programs. And I certainly enjoyed meeting with them while they were here in this Parliament, and it was great to be able to catch up with them back in when we were in Zimbabwe and Harare. In South Africa, Madam Speaker, we visited Johannesburg, Pretoria, KwaZulu-Natal province and Durban. We visited civil society and other organisations that have been actively addressing cultural and social issues that have had their origins in the apartheid era and its end in 1994. We visited the Centre for the AIDS Program of Research in South Africa and viewed outstanding work that's being done in that institution. The management of natural resources and wildlife, particularly the balancing of environmental conservation with the economic utilisation of these resources, was an area of particular interest. And from a difficult history, South Africa has developed both institutions and expertise to address its current economic and social challenges. We then travelled to the Seychelles, Madam Deputy Speaker, and we visited Mahé on the island of Paslin. We met with many Seychellois politicians and dignitaries and canvassed a broad range of issues, many of which were related to natural resource management. Other issues resulted from Seychelles' strategic position in the Indian Ocean and its important role in combating international crime in piracy. I have to say, Madam Deputy Speaker, we also had the opportunity of visiting the prison in the Seychelles, and the work that they're doing is absolutely outstanding in the way of rehabilitation. They have a number of Somali pirates that are residing there, but the work that they're doing within the prison system, the rehabilitation work that they're doing there, was a real eye-opener and something to which the Seychelles government can be very, very proud. The delegation considered that in the future, the greatest assistance to the Seychelles would be the development of the clear and obvious business opportunities which exist for Australian businesses and greater cultural and educational exchanges. In order to develop this, a more regular, at least annual ministerial engagement between Australia and the Seychelles would become a feature of the relationship. We looked at a number of aid projects assisted by Australian aid in Zimbabwe. The delegation had the opportunity to have a look at these projects. Were directly or indirectly funded by the Australian aid. Some of these projects included water, sanitation and hygiene projects, family impact, relationship counselling, the Sandra Jones Children's Home, which supports young sexual assault victims, and run by a wonderful Australian. We have a Bulawayo Water and Sewage Emergency Response Program, and the Kimavu Community Gardens and the Ebenezer Farm. Recommendations from the report from our visit. We had three primary recommendations, Madam Deputy Speaker. The first one was the delegation encourages the government of Zimbabwe to recognise the deleterious effects of uncertain property rights on economic growth and to restore effective protections for those rights, including protections over interests in land. Second recommendation was the delegation encouraged the government of Zimbabwe to expedite the establishment of various civil society institutions required by the 2013 Constitution, appropriate non-government organisations or regional bodies such as AADC, which may wish to monitor Zimbabwe's progress in that regard. And the final recommendation, the Australian and Seychelles governments seek to develop a relationship between the two nations, including through more regular and at least annual ministerial exchange. Madam Deputy Speaker, the delegation was very, very successful, and I think by no small way by the cooperation and the good spirit of the members that were on that delegation, and I commend the report to the House.
Good. I thank the member for Leichhardt.